Today we're going to talk about internet use violations and threats over the World Wide Web. In class, we've been given a scenario and asked how we would handle it if we were in the position of school leader. So here goes my effort. First off, we need to look at the setting. It is Roosevelt High School. It's considered to be the ideal situation. They have the best technology, they're from an affluent community, and they're considered to be one of the most prestigious high schools in the state. Next, we have Dr. Forbes. He was selected Principal of the Year. He's respected by parents in his community, and he hires only highly qualified teachers to his vacant positions. In comes Miss Walker. She's a new teacher. She believes in running a structured classroom. She's extremely focused on academics, and she has very high expectations of her students. So let's get the scenario down. Dr. Forbes has received numerous calls from parents. They complain that Miss Walker has unreasonable expectations. Dr. Forbes has discussed the techniques with Miss Walker to reduce the stress upon her classroom students. Dr. Forbes has also given her suggestions on how to create positive relationships with students. Miss Walker has not implemented many, if any, of these improvements, and parents continue to call, and now they're complaining about poor classroom instruction. Okay, now we have a they said, he said, she said situation. They said, the parents. Expectations are too high. Classes are too stressful. Valedictorian and salutatorians aren't going to be my child because her classes are too stressful. She said, I use a serious approach. I run a structured classroom, and I am extremely focused on academics. He said, the principal, we have the best school. We have qualified teachers, and I've discussed improvement strategies with Miss Walker. The problem. Miss Walker received an email. Miss Walker is now scared for her life. Dr. Forbes questions the seriousness of the threat, and Randy Franks has been known to be asked by other students for assistance when dealing with computers. The unknown. We don't know who the author of the email is. We're unsure of the seriousness of the threat. We don't know about Randy Frank's involvement in making those snide remarks in class, nor do we know of Randy Frank's involvement in sending the email. The problem. The teacher has received a threatening email. The email is anonymous, and the teacher is scared to death. Proposed plan of action. I have 3 steps. I need to assess the situation, compile the evidence, and then analyze the facts presented. My plan of action deals with assessing the situation. First off, I need to contact the district technologist to determine the origin of the email in question. Next, I need to review notes taken over complaints from parents who have called about Miss Walker. Third, I need to review any notes over Miss Walker's concerns or about other students or her classroom procedure. Fourth, I need to review Miss Walker's evaluation. Fifth, I need to review any notes over prior students who have made threats or concerning comments. Sixth, I also need to look at school policy on our internet use and district policy on threats to be prepared to carry through with the punishment outlined in district policy. Then I need to compile evidence. If the district technologist was able to determine the origin of the email, I would contact that student's parents, request a meeting with both parents and students immediately. Second, if the email was sent during a class time from a certain room, try to pinpoint that particular group near those computers when the email was sent. And third, be extra visible in the halls and the commons areas and where the students hang out to try to hear their comments and concerns about the incident. And then last, I'll need to analyze the facts presented. First off, has this student been in trouble before? If so, then this particular issue might have harsher consequences. 2, if I must follow a zero tolerance policy, then my hands are tied and I need to do what is listed in the district policy. However, if no policy exists, then I can access the facts and determine the best punishment for that particular situation. 4th, I would really try to appeal to both sides of this situation. Miss Walker is really trying to put her best foot forward and is working extremely hard to be the best teacher possible. I also might add to the student when I'm explaining to him her situation that college doesn't necessarily prepare you for the real work environment, and as a result, the only on-job training a teacher would receive is while she's actually in the classroom. And so as a first-year teacher, she's just getting started and just gathering the experience she needs to be the best teacher she can possibly be. 5th, again, depending on the issue with Mr. Franks, I'm going to assume this is a first offense, so to speak, and I will try then to explain to Mrs. Walker that he too has a reputation to uphold, that he needs to show his classmates that he is still cool, and that he saw Mrs. Walker as the perfect target because she was a first-year teacher. 6th, I would try to see if each side could give in just a little in order to make the situation in the classroom and school the best possible for all stakeholders. And 7th, depending upon future actions and reactions, more drastic measures may need to be taken. Strategies to implement the plan. First off, I think I must review the ISLLC standards. Communication is a plus. I think we ought to also review the vision of the school, and then finally I think we need to find common ground in this situation. So let's look at the resolution of the issues. Let's look at what is best for students, and for doing that I think we need to look at ISLLC standards 1, 2, and 3. I resolve that based on promoting the success of all students by not casting blame before the evidence is in and reminding all players of the school vision, expectations of staff and students. I feel ISLLC Standard 1 utilizes this because we have a vision that is developed with all stakeholders. We are continually examining our own assumptions, our beliefs, and our practices to either adapt with the times or adapt to the different learning styles of the students. And then also effective communication is a must in any environment. For standard number 2, I resolved issues based on promoting the success of all students by finding common ground between students and teachers who have conflicts and working as a team to remedy this situation. The main goal is to address barriers to achieving the vision. So if it's teacher related, student related, a little bit of both, we need to address those barriers to make it the best environment possible. We need to also assess the variety of ways in which students can learn and maybe find a way that we can reach more students in Ms. Walker's class. We also need to reiterate that we do have high expectations for not only our staff but our students as well. And then finally, for Ms. Walker in particular, we need to get her to understand that we need to have as many opportunities as possible for students to learn in her classroom. And then finally, for Standard 3, I resolved issues based on promoting the success of all students because we can use these situations as teachable moments. When adults set the proper example, students learn how to conduct themselves in an orderly manner. For example, if we can address problems in a timely manner, if we can also use problem framing and solving skills, as well as conflict resolution skills, these skills will not only help me fix my situation in my school, but it will also help students and teachers maybe approach a problem that comes on down the line. In the end, what is best for students is for students to be safe. We also need to create a challenging environment where their voices are heard and ideas are implemented to create a strong school community in which all stakeholders can have success, especially if this is Randy Frank's first offense. And if I can find common ground between Randy and Miss Walker, then it's a win-win for everyone involved in the learning environment. Miss Walker can become an advocate for Randy, and Randy can promote the desire of Miss Walker to become a better and more effective teacher. Debriefing. Thinking. When I first read this scenario, I remember thinking, I wish I knew the student. That would give me more insight into how to handle this particular problem. Did his best friend die? Did his parents just break up? Did his dog get ran over? There could be multiple problems out there that were impacting Randy this particular day. Also, I wished I knew my teacher just a little bit more. Is she really trying, or is she stubborn and locked in her ways and unwilling to implement new techniques that could maybe reach a greater number of students? And I also wish I knew if this was the first problem with both the teacher and the student. If it was, that's definitely going to change how you alter things and the rulings, I guess, that you decide to come up with. Feeling. I feel like I must make both sides feel that they are important and that their views are considered and taken into account. I feel like addressing an issue such as this is much easier in a small school to which I'm accustomed to than a larger school where oftentimes you don't always know all of your students. And I also feel like, and this is probably the most important thing, I feel like I don't know the whole story. I think there's some issues out there that were left unresolved or left out of the scenario. Valuing. I would like to continue my reputation of being one of the few school officials who understand what it's like to be a kid. I've had several students tell me that over the years. I also want to stand by my staff and support them in ways that will truly make our school one of the best schools in the state. And I would want to continue toward the vision of the school with full stakeholder participation. Unresolved issues. I really feel my hands are tied, especially if the email cannot be traced to the source of the document. Is Miss Walker insecure and needs more support from a mentor? Will both sides feel I supported them? Promoting success of all students. Integrity, ethical behavior. You can demonstrate sense of integrity and ethical behavior by using confidentiality, taking the high road, not making promises, and using professional communication skills. For an example, with Miss Walker's phone call, I tried to calm her down. I tried to give her advice. I didn't take her word for it that it was Randy Franks. And confidentiality of information given by witnesses and parties involved is a must. Fairness, dignity, and respect. You can act with fairness by not assuming the problem is the students, nor do you assume that it's the teacher that's at fault. We need to respect the fears of all parties involved and be careful to not turn a molehill into a mountain, or that could give us even more severe problems down the line. For an example, you can listen to parents. You don't blame Miss Walker automatically. You try to assist her in adapting new methods. You respect Miss Walker's determination to keep her classroom structured and dependent on high expectations. You take the high road. You don't succumb to name calling and belittling of the key players. Ethical manner. If you can look yourself in the mirror the next morning, you're golden. You need to treat both sides with respect. Don't speak with both sides of your mouth. Don't tell each side what they want to hear. And try to avoid favorites. I didn't tell Miss Walker that I would expel Randy in that situation. I wouldn't do that. I would wait until all information is gathered before making a decision. And I wouldn't make promises I couldn't keep. I still say the approach to this scenario is dependent upon several factors that are unknown to the reader of this scenario. Typical items here that I'm thinking about is, what is the background of Randy Franks? What is the background of Miss Walker? Is there a zero tolerance policy? These are just a few of the issues that I feel like I would need to have a background of in order to fully address this issue. Thank you.